set out at GMB conference how this government's
Well, here we are again for another pantomime this week. Okay, and I'll bring the volume up as soon as PMQs start again. But oh my God, what a joke this has been. I've been watching it. I'm telling all the stories about exactly how well this country is doing in the big scheme of things. I don't know how these people can actually stand up and say what they're saying with any conviction.
And of course, I want to congratulate them on completing the Seahorse pontoon ahead
Incredible.
of schedule.
But anyway, welcome to everybody, to all our visitors, and to everybody that's watching from overseas. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions,
let's get this volume up.
The thoughts of the House will be those affected by the events in Belfast this week. I should inform the House that charges have been brought against a man following the attack on Monday night. That case is now sub judice. It is possible that other charges may be brought, including respect of events in Belfast in the aftermath. I am granting a full waiver to allow members to discuss wider issues raised in the context of this incident. However, I must urge members in the strongest terms not to discuss the details of any individual case. This includes not discussing any motive or the guilt or innocence of any individual. Members should avoid wider speculation that comes with prejudicial in any future criminal trials. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. I call Melanie Ward.
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday to you.
Ooh, happy birthday, Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week,
there he is.
I noted the helicopter crash in Devon, and I want to put on record our sincere condolences to the families of Lieutenant Commander Chris Gayson, Lieutenant Lily Mae Fisher, and Petty Officer Owen Green. Our thoughts are with their families at this tragic time.
Does he know the meaning of the
Mr.
word
Speaker,
sincere?
I also send my condolences to the family of Michael Story. Michael worked as a driver in Number 10 for over 2 decades. He was a remarkable gentleman, held in the highest regard by all that knew him, and will be deeply missed. Mr. Speaker, people are rightly sickened by the horrific attack on Monday night in North Belfast. As you have just said, the man arrested has been in court in Belfast this morning and charged. I want to thank the Police Service of Northern Ireland and other first responders and members of the public who responded with such bravery. And our thoughts are with the victim. But let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. The acts of violence and arson that followed are totally unjustified.
What, unjustified?
This morning I spoke with the First Minister, the Deputy First Minister and the Chief Constable. And the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is meeting leaders in Belfast today. We are united in calling for calm and determined to restore order, support the police and all those on the front line, and ensure that justice is done. On a lighter note, Mr. Speaker, as the World Cup gets underway, I'd like to wish the best of luck to both Scotland and England. And I too would like to wish you happy birthday. Mr. Speaker, this morning I have meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Melanie Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the situation in Northern Ireland and about the Scottish football team.
Give it up. Give it up.
Mr. Speaker, the existence of Israeli settlements and settler violence against Palestinians is a major and deliberate impediment to peace. By working with Israeli human rights researchers, I have uncovered 32 British charities which are funnelling money to Israeli settlements on Palestinian land. Last week, I submitted a formal complaint to the Charity Commission about them. In the last 5 years, they've sent over £28 million to illegal settlements, with a likely taxpayer subsidy through gift aid of more than £5 million. Our constituents will be appalled by this. Does the Prime Minister agree that funneling money to Israeli settlements is extremist activity, not charitable activity? And will he be clear that it is banned?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend? Settlements are a flagrant breach of international law, and no UK charity should be supporting them. And the Middle East Minister...
What about illegal migrants?
...Commission today to discuss these concerns. We announced yesterday further sanctions against those who support settler violence, and we will continue to look at strengthening those sanctions. British businesses should have no economic involvement in illegal settlements. And let me just say, the situation across Palestine remains desperate, and the UK will continue to lead efforts to prevent human suffering and get aid
God, the
and preserve the
two-facedness
viability
of this
a
man.
two-state solution.
Leader of the Opposition, Kevin Bett.
Come on, Kemi. Deliver something,
Mr.
please.
Speaker, can I also wish England and Scotland the very best in the World Cup?
That was the right
Can
order.
I wish you
England first.
A very happy birthday, Mr. Speaker. Many happy returns. And may I take the opportunity to associate myself with the remarks that the Prime Minister made about the helicopter crash. Our condolences to their family and, of course, to the family of Michael Storey as well. Can I also thank him for his short statement on Belfast? The scenes in Belfast are deeply, deeply disturbing. A man is in hospital after a brutal attack, and now families are frightened after a night of violence. There is a live criminal case, so we must be careful about what we say. But we can be clear about this. People have a right to be angry.
Yep.
I am angry. And people have the right to expect their politicians to secure our borders. But no one has a right to burn families out of their homes or to burn public property and attack the police. We all have a duty to stand up for public safety in every way.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, last night, America carried out strikes on Iran in response to the downing of a US helicopter. This comes just days after renewed attacks on Ukraine. The world is getting more dangerous, and the British public want to know this government is doing everything it can to protect our national security.
So is that it about Belfast?
Tell the House,
nothing more?
Will the full defence investment plan finally be published this week?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I agree with her that in relation to both Iran and Ukraine, we're facing a more volatile world than at any time during
Then stick with the
our
US.
lifetimes. Mr. Speaker, so far as defence is concerned, we've already taken a number of measures. We've increased defence spending.
Oh, look at him. Oh, what a clever guy that is.
To 2.6% in 2027. That's spending 270
I'm sure he was
billion
in one of
pounds
those
over
movies
this
with The
Parliament.
Hobbit.
We've carried out a strategic review of defence, and we're committed to publishing the defence investment plan before the NATO summit, which is in just a few weeks' time.
Kevin Bett.
That sounded like a no, Mr. Speaker. We have wasted 2 years waiting for the Defence Investment Plan. Projects have been put on hold, and Britain is getting weaker with every passing
You're
day.
not kidding.
It has been reported that the Chief of the Defence Staff told the Prime Minister that the Ministry of Defence needs an extra £28 billion. Will that requirement be met in full?
No.
Mr. Speaker,
No.
we'll set out the defence investment plan. It is the it's a it's a 10-year plan, and it's the first line-by-line review.
You
of
ain't going to
defence
be in
budgets
10
18
years' time.
She's wrong to say it's been delayed by 2 years, Mr. Speaker. The Defence Strategic Review was published a year ago. We've been working through the details to make sure that we get this
Look
right.
at Lammy
We
in the
are
background
government
there.
There's an increased
Oh,
defence spending
yes.
from
We're so
2.3
important.
to 2.6%.
Jesus Christ.
I remind the
Go
party
get yourself
when they
another
came
sandwich.
into
You need
power,
it. You're
defence
wasting
spending was
away, man.
2.5%, and they took it down to 2.3%. We've taken it up to 2.6%. The defence investment, by 2027, the defence investment plan will be published before NATO. We've already signed 1,400 major defence contracts. 94% of those, Mr. Speaker, are with British businesses. And as the Defence Secretary said, that includes helicopters made in Yeovil, drones in Swindon, armoured vehicles in Telford.
Definitely. He was
and
one of
we've
those
also given
orcs,
our armed
wasn't he?
forces the biggest
Definitely.
pay rise in over 20 years. That's Labour making investment to safeguard our national security.
Kevin Bett.
Mr. Speaker, can I welcome the pay rise for the armed forces? But the Prime Minister says he's increased defence spending. He's not. This year, he's cutting it by £3.5 billion. What he's talking about is hopeful increases, which we don't know if he will do because there is still no defence investment plan. At a time that we need leadership, Mr. Speaker, we have total paralysis. It is reported that the Chancellor is only willing to find £13 billion for the dip. At the London Defence Conference last year, the Prime Minister said defence would be the central organising principle of his government. How can that be the case when he's giving the armed forces less than half of the minimum that they need?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we've already increased defence spend. We will spend £270 billion in this Parliament. What did they do on spend? They took it from 2.5% and they cut it to 2.3%. And we'll take no lectures from them.
Oh, of course.
They sat at the heart of a government that failed our armed services. They cut frigates and destroyers by 25%. They cut mine hunters by 50%. They cut the army from 100,000 down to 72,000.
There may be some truth to those words.
Every single year for 14 years. And they left morale in the armed forces at an all-time low. So we'll take no lectures from them on defence and security of our country.
Enforce the point. Point the finger. No lectures.
Mr. Speaker, we've heard him say this about 100 times. There is still no defence investment plan. He is the Prime Minister now. At least I think he is. Should I be calling Andy Burnham instead to ask his questions? He is the Prime Minister.
Very good,
and the reason that he's dithering is because he doesn't know where the money is coming from. The military is waiting. The bond markets are watching. He has only three options: cutting spending, more borrowing, or higher taxes.
It'll be more borrowing
that the
and
Chancellor
higher
wants
taxes.
to put up tax to pay for it. Will the Prime Minister rule out raising taxes?
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, she asked the House to simply ignore the last 14 years under what? So
come on, just answer the question.
We may have failed the armed forces, hollowed them out, but please just forget all that and act as if it didn't happen. Well, you can't forget all that, given the damage they did to our armed services.
Oh.
Mr. Speaker, she says forget all that. I remind the House, when they left office, 47 out of 49 major defence contracts were delayed or over budget.
Answer the question.
That is what we are fixing. And you can't just scrub away and forget. I know they want to forget the last 14 years.
OK, you made your point. Answer the question.
But, Mr. Speaker, we've increased defence spending. We are going to publish the Defence Investment Plan, and that will be done before the NATO summit coming up in just a few weeks' time.
Mr. Speaker, I remember when the last government led Europe when we were fighting the war in Ukraine. When Russia invaded, we were ready. We supplied Ukraine with munitions. We increased defence spending. But I wasn't asking him about our record. I asked him if he would rule out tax rises. He did not rule out raising taxes. So tax rises are coming.
Yes.
He can't borrow more because the markets have no confidence in him.
Correct.
The reason the Prime Minister is in this mess is because he maxed out on spending in his first two budgets. That's why the benefits bill is set to rise to over £200 billion by the end of the decade.
Yeah.
He has things the wrong way round, Mr. Speaker. He has a benefits plan until 2031, but no defence investment plan. Why not just cut welfare?
Correct.
Mr. Speaker, she talks of leading the way on Ukraine, and I did pay tribute and do to what the last government did on Ukraine, and we stood with them. We continue to lead the way because it's the United Kingdom and France that are leading the coalition of the willing that have got the military plans together.
Coalition of the blind leading the blind.
Equally in Iran, Mr. Speaker, it is the UK government and the French government that have put together the coalition for the reassurance military plans as soon as the Strait of Hormuz is open. That is what we're doing to lead. But, Mr. Speaker, we are not going to take lectures on defence from the party opposite after what they did to the armed forces, and nor are we going to take lectures on the economy, which they crashed and we've had to pick up.
Why won't they just answer questions?
Mr. Speaker, at a time of increased global instability and tension, war in Europe and the Middle East, he is paralysed, giving the armed forces less than half of the minimum that they need. Tony Blair says cut welfare for defence. Lord Robertson, former NATO Secretary-General, he's one of them, says cut welfare for defence. We all know why he won't cut welfare. It's because he is too weak. Too weak to make a decision, too weak to face down his backbenchers and cut benefits, too weak to stand up for our national security. As the sun sets on his premiership, he is scrabbling around for a legacy. But isn't it the case, Mr. Speaker, that the real legacy will be a bloated welfare state and a weaker armed forces?
He's doing it for votes, Kemi.
Mr.
State
Speaker, when they were in office, they didn't reform welfare or invest in our armed services. So the very choice she puts up, they did. Defence spending went down.
Anybody watching
Welfare
this
spending
has
went
got
up.
to see
88
that
billion
this
pounds
man
overall
is a
on their
clown.
work. 33 billion
A
under
clown.
the shadow Chancellor. So, Mr. Speaker, they did neither welfare reform nor did they spend our armed forces. And every week she reminds us why the British public sent them packing, because she ignores what we're turning the country around. Growth is up. She doesn't want to talk about that. Interest rates are down. She doesn't want to talk about that. Immigration is down after she cheerleaded for it to go up, and the NHS waiting lists have coming down to the fastest rate for 17 years. I'm going to keep fighting for the people who elected a Labour government and sent us here 2 years ago. People who want to live in a safer world.
We've seen the way you
Parents
fight, Keir.
who want to
That
have
punch
a
bag
better
was
future
so
for their
nervous
children, and
in
young
those
people growing up in
clips.
poverty who deserve a better future. We're investing in this great nation, standing up against those that divide us, a stronger, fairer Britain.
Yeah, so fair. What's
There will
everybody
be a
moaning
tax
about
hit.
right now?
And it might be for somebody who didn't request it. Richard Burkham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to associate myself with the Prime Minister's comments on the horrific events in Belfast. The co-founder of US tech giant Palantir once claimed the NHS makes people sick. But now Palantir is running the NHS's new data platform. The Financial Times has reported that Palantir staff have had unlimited access to identifiable NHS patient data. And also there's deep concerns
We've
about
paid
Palantir's
£1
human rights
per
record in
patient
relation
for Palantir to take
Trump
that data.
and ICE
£1.
and Israel's military action in Gaza. NHS patient data shouldn't be left in the hands of a US tech giant. The government has an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to end this contract through a break clause next year. Will the government take the opportunity and kick Palantir next year out of our NHS?
No.
Mr. Speaker, as the Health Secretary has said, the existing contract will be reviewed, as it always is, ahead of the break clause, and data security is always a priority. On the single patient contract, there will be strong cybersecurity protections, and we will protect this data, like we do with all health data.
Yeah,
We've
like you
focused on
protect the
modernising
people of
NHS
this country.
so patients don't have to repeat themselves and get the care they need more quickly. Our investment has cut NHS waiting lists, delivered millions of extra appointments, improved A&E and ambulance response time. I'm proud of what we're doing.
Sir Ed David, leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Another joker. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in sending our condolences to the families of those killed in last week's helicopter crash? And can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the horrific knife attack in Belfast? Our thoughts are with the victim and his family. And can I join the Prime Minister in condemning the disorder last night? Mr. Speaker, in Carers Week, can I celebrate
All in
the
a bubble.
millions of family carers who make huge sacrifices to look after their loved ones? And can I look forward to an England versus Scotland World Cup final? and can
Won't
I wish
happen.
you a happy birthday, Mr. Speaker?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Speaker, as the chaos over the Defence Investment Plan goes on, I'm sure members on all sides were shocked to read yesterday's reports. The government is considering slashing the hospital programme to fund the shortfall. Surely in 21st century Britain, people can expect both a decent local hospital and armed forces that keep them safe. So will the Prime Minister rule out any cuts to the NHS budget to fund defence.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I first agree with him about the amazing work of our
Don't forget the
carers.
question.
We will take the necessary measures to defend our country, the first duty of any Prime Minister.
Yeah.
We will also take the measures, as we have done, to invest in our public services. And forgive me, I was running a public service when the government that his party were part of was stripping them bare under austerity. So we're really not going to take lectures on austerity from the gentleman opposite.
Didn't answer the question again.
Well, I was hoping we're going to hear more about defence investment. I would urge the Prime Minister to look at our plans for defence bonds to get 20 million
asked,
into defence.
Is he going to
Well, Mr.
maintain
Speaker,
the funding
turning
to the
those horrific
NHS?
scenes in Belfast, too
Didn't
many
get an
times
answer.
we see the same pattern. An appalling crime that makes us all feel immense pain and anger, and then extremists who exploit that grief and anger to spread hatred and violence.
This is
aided and
people
abetted
naturally
by
angry.
social media barons like Elon Musk and their divisive
there's a good-
algorithms. Does the
Jesus.
Prime Minister agree this is not who we are as a country, and that it is not
Nobody
fit
knows who we are as a
controlled
country
by
anymore.
tech billionaires and their algorithms? So will he crack down properly on platforms like X that are fueling violence and hatred?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we will
Elon,
crack down
pay
on
attention to
anyone
what he's
who's
just
fueling
said.
this, division. But it is really important, and I agree with him, we are heading into a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland. As I say, I've spoken to the Chief Constable, the First Minister and Deputy First Minister this morning. They are united in saying we should all be calling for calm. The police are on the front line, and it's our duty as politicians.
When the North and the South
to
are
call for that
uniting,
calm.
then
Nobody
you've got
who's a
problems,
politician
and
should
they
be
are.
whipping up division and hatred.
They're sick of it.
Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Flexible and co-working spaces play an important role in regenerating town centres like mine in Rochester and Strood. They bring more people to our high streets to spend money in our local shops and support our local economies. But recent case law has put this under threat, with valuation office agency assessments now treating many as single larger businesses. And because of this, many small businesses face not only losing their small business rate relief, but also facing potentially backdated bills of up to 3 years, in some cases costing hundreds of thousands of pounds. So will the Prime Minister please ensure that an urgent political solution is found to this problem?
No, because they need the money.
Can I absolutely recognise the important role that flexible working spaces play in regenerating our high streets? Where the law requires a property to be treated as a single unit, the business rates are paid by the operator, not the individual businesses. I can't speak for every case, but I will make sure that the Treasury Minister picks up with her as quickly as possible in relation to the particular issue.
Gavin Roberts.
So maybe 2 years' time.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister in relation to the
great
tragic
guy.
helicopter crash
We
last
like him.
week? Mr. Speaker, yesterday I shared my concern that community cohesion stood on the precipice. The North Belfast attack on Monday was medieval. It was sadistic, and it's sadly been viewed by millions in this country.
Yep.
As reprehensible as it was, the outrageous violence, intimidation and community damage carried out last night in my constituency and in other parts of Northern Ireland require the strongest condemnation. It is impossible to share concerns about damage to our British values and then act in a way that tarnishes the very thing we should want to protect.
What does everybody
The government's
expect?
job, our collective job, is to act, to protect our country and to defend our borders. The Prime Minister knows that the man charged entered our country illegally.
Yeah.
He passed through 2 safe countries and attained asylum in record time.
On a 5-year
Will
visa.
he meet with me urgently to discuss the steps he and his government will take to ensure our values are enforced, that the rule of law in this country sustains, and that he protects and closes the open, porous border between our country and the Irish Republic?
That's right. That's where he came from.
Can I thank the Right Honourable Member? And can I particularly thank him and all leaders in Northern Ireland who have urged calm, particularly before what happened last night. I think in standing together with that common message was very powerful. I thank him and others for what they did in that regard. I'm very happy to meet him and other MPs from Northern Ireland as he requests, and I think we've now identified a slot after Prime Minister's questions when we can do that. Is obviously important.
Yeah, because you know it's going to kick off in Ireland.
We are all sickened
by
this attack. But the scenes of violence and disorder have no justification, and we need to be really clear about that. Of course, there are questions that need to be answered, but destroying communities, destroying homes, and driving people out of their homes is not and will never be the right way to respond to an attack like this. And I look forward to working with him and others to ensure that we get the calm response and give the police the space that they need to deliver justice.
Russia, Nora Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the horrific situation in Northern Ireland? Mr. Speaker, the Mildmay Hospital in my constituency, established in 1877, has been a pioneer for HIV and AIDS care since the 1980s. Diana, Princess of Wales, made 17 visits to this unique charitable hospital, breaking through the stigma surrounding HIV and AIDS. Today, Mildmay also provides care for patients with other complex needs, relieving pressure on the NHS, and yet it's at risk of closure because of commissioning issues in the NHS. Ahead of the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's death next year, will the Prime Minister lend his support to this iconic hospital, which was so close to her heart, so that it can survive and thrive?
Minister. Well, can I thank you for raising this? And the Mildmay Hospital is synonymous with extraordinary care and compassion, as she describes. I will make sure that she meets the Health Minister to discuss the concerns that I know she has in relation to it.
Mr. Speaker, as a person of colour in this House, I'm sure members will agree that I cannot be held accountable for the vile acts of individuals that share my complexion or heritage. However, there are some in this chamber who seek division to further their political ambitions. Individuals who are fueling hate against citizens of our own nation and causing hard-working, upstanding people to be afraid for their safety because of the colour of their skin. Teachers, doctors, nurses which are afraid to go to work. Words have consequences, and with eyes of the nation on us in this moment, what pure cold actions will the Prime Minister take against those inciting violence, perpetrating violence, and, more importantly, support the victims following this brutal attack in Belfast?
Oh yes, couple it with that to make you cover a little bit better.
Face the full force of the law, and quite rightly so. He is absolutely right.
Oh, of course he is.
To describe as he does the fear that this instills in some of our communities. And that is a very real fear.
What about the fear of being attacked?
This hour in Northern Ireland by families who are too scared to go about their lawful work, to go to school and to go about their business. That is exactly what it does, which is why we must all condemn it.
Ms. Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The British Standards Institution is 125 years old this year. And I'm proud to have been working closely with them to produce and publish BS 30480, the world's first free standard on suicide in the workplace.
We should have a BS standard for Parliament, but it wouldn't be BS as in everybody else knows. It would be bullshit.
As we all work towards reducing the number of people who die by suicide, will the Prime Minister support more workplace adoption of this standard and work with BSI and myself to achieve this?
Can I start by paying tribute to my honourable friend? She's been an outstanding advocate on this issue. I congratulate the BSI on 125 years of vital work. This guidance reminds us that every part of society has a role to play in suicide prevention, and it is really positive that so many businesses are putting it into practice. And I'm pleased to raise awareness of it and to encourage others who've not seen it yet to look closely at it and follow it.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday. We all condemn, of course, the appalling violence in Belfast last night after the horrific attack on Monday. But this Prime Minister is in denial of the rising despair across the country over his failure to stop the boats and related criminality.
Yeah, absolutely.
His failure to recognise two-tier policing. His failures over Mandelson. His failures over the scourge of anti-Semitism.
And more.
He's lost the confidence of the country, his own trade union members, and his own very quiet backbenchers, Mr.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the truth.
And when will this Prime Minister resign?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Speaker, last
Listen
week we
to
had
this.
the terrible case of Henry Novak, which they sought to exploit.
No, they didn't.
Now we have a very difficult situation in Northern Ireland where families and communities are extremely frightened. What do? They try to whip up fear and division, because that's all they've got.
There you go. There's the
talks about
first
stopping the
bullshit
vote.
trademark
Mr. Speaker,
I'm going to give to him. Jesus
to
Christ, this man angers so many people.
And to take those measures, you need money. And he is still not properly addressed why his companies didn't just aggressively avoid tax.
Oh, here we go.
But failed to tax.
So
the
deflect,
tax that they
deflect,
legally
deflect.
His investment company then gave huge donations to reform. If he paid his
Oh,
tax with more money to deal
isn't
with
that
these
terrible?
issues.
What about free gear Kia?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday. Last summer, my constituent, Ryan Long, went on his first lads' holiday to Ibiza. On his first night, he made what turned out to be a fatal decision when he took an ecstasy pill and, after falling into a coma, sadly passed away at the age of 18. Since his death, his mum, Angie, working with local charity Open Road, has ploughed her grief into campaigning, fundraising and raising awareness of the dangers of drug use so that no other family has to go through the pain hers has suffered. She joins us in the public gallery today. Will the Prime Minister join me in thanking Angie for her dedicated work?
How many people are talking about Henry Novak?
With her to discuss ways we can further raise awareness of the danger of drugs in Ryan's name?
Minister.
Can I thank him
That
for
is sad.
raising
I
this
agree.
case? And I think the details of Ryan's case that he has outlined are very hard to hear. I have to say, as a father of a 17-year-old boy, I find it particularly hard to hear. And no mother, should have to experience what Angie has experienced. I know she's here with us today, and I'm very much hoping I can meet her immediately after PMQs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If any member of the public wishes to visit a major sporting event or major music event, they can expect to be searched on the way in. If they bring a bottle of water, the lid will be taken. If they order a drink from the bar, it will be served in a plastic cup. This is done for security reasons. Yet because of exemptions in the Offensive Weapons Act 2019, those same events permit the carrying of blades up to 5 inches long. I would just like to
Not if
ask
you're
the
a
Prime
Sikh.
Minister, does he recognise the dangers and the risks associated with that? And does he recognise what a solicitor might call an exception, our voters would call two-tier justice? Yeah.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me just be very clear. Any blade that's used to threaten or to harm others is illegal by law. Any blade. We will, of course, work with the Sikh community, knife crime campaigners and the police to learn the right lessons. That is the responsible thing.
The right lesson is to take all knives out of the equation. That's the right lesson.
To respond to the case that we were discussing last week and the events in Northern Ireland that we're discussing today with the calmness that leadership requires.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Maternity care in North Oxfordshire declined under the previous government, with the loss of consultant-led services at the Horton Hospital, where I was born, and serious failings by the Trust, which are now part of Baroness Amos' inquiry. However, last week, the Care Quality Commission upgraded...
Yes, Angela, you're quite right. Thank you very much for that comment there. Thank you very much.
In Banbury to see the change that this government's £3.3 million
Hey, that's echoed by Barbara. There are so many of these comments.
Well, I'm pleased that his local maternity services are seeing improvements. We now have a record number of midwives working in the NHS, and we're investing over £150 million to address critical safety risks. There is much more that we need to do, so every mother is listened to and receives outstanding care. The recommendations of the Amos inquiry will be published shortly, and we will act to deliver lasting change.
Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Earlier
this year,
I
I found myself in hospital as a result of a flare-up from living with ulcerative colitis. I was bowled away by the support of our local constituents and people who live with inflammatory bowel disease across the country when they got in touch and shared their support. But for people with IBD, care often falls far short of the mark. It can take ages to get a diagnosis. Myself, it took the best part of a decade. And then when you manage to get a diagnosis, the care that comes can come as a postcode lottery. Now, When you're living with a fluctuating and not visible condition, that's already hard enough before navigating those systems. IBD UK Alliance set out what good care looks like with the IBD standard. Will the Prime Minister meet with me and clinicians to discuss IBD standards, and will he consider appointing a national clinical lead to drive improvement when it comes to IBD care?
Can I thank him for sharing his personal experience and congratulating him on his achievements at the London Marathon, notwithstanding that. I agree with him that wherever a patient lives, they should receive high-quality, consistent care. Through national improvement programmes like Getting It Right First Time, we are making sure the best practice is shared to drive up standards. But I'm very happy for ministers to give him the details of that in the way that he's raised in his question.
Chris Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and many happy returns to you. And can I take this opportunity, as it is Carers Week, to thank all of the young carers and young adult carers in my constituency of Harlow for all they do all year round. Mr. Speaker, you will know as a former teacher, I spend a lot of time talking to students, parents and teachers in my constituency of Harlow about the dangers of social media, and they're very concerned that these big tech companies are not taking their responsibility seriously. So can I ask the Prime Minister what he's doing to hold these big tech firms to account to ensure our young people are safe online?
Can I thank him for the great work he's done for
it's not going to work.
Young carers. Mr. Speaker, we've given tech companies a deadline. Introduce the device-level controls that already exist to prevent children from sending and receiving sexually explicit images, or we will change the law with fines for companies or even criminal liability for bosses who fail to comply. Because when it comes to the safety of our children, standing by is not an option.
All right,
further steps will follow.
Just like the safety of people on our streets.
Mr. Speaker, a suppressed DEFRA report concluded that without transformational change, our food and water systems are at risk of catastrophic failure from 2030. Another suppressed Joint Intelligence Committee report concluded that there's a high likelihood of ecosystem collapse, putting food production at risk. Does the Prime Minister recognise that many of us across this House are ready to work collaboratively to address these very urgent challenges? And will he commit to publishing
anything to
these
do with
two
Ed
reports
Miliband?
in full?
Just a bit.
Prime Minister.
Well, I agree that we must act to protect ecosystems that underpin our food supply and our way of life. And I'm really proud that under this government, the UK is back playing a leading part on climate change and restoring nature.
Oh, really?
Alison Taylor.
Peter Murrow pleaded guilty to embezzling over £400,000 of SNP members' funds. Thousands of pounds were spent on luxury items ranging from a salt and pepper grinder to a new Jaguar to a luxury motorhome. When party figures raised concerns, even resigned, they were silenced and ostracised by those at the very top of the SNP. Does my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, agree that a full investigation into this national scandal needs to be held as a matter of urgency?
Well, Mr. Speaker, these are clearly serious, legitimate questions that deserve answers and scrutiny.
In Cheshire, we can think of figures like 2 million.
I do think the Scottish Parliament should
and
look
for
at them
any
closely,
of those
and I
people
hope they'll
listening
listen
who
to
know
concerns
about
of this
it,
House.
it's going to come out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Running a business as a plumber, I was well used to dealing with dirty grubbiness. And there's still plenty of that dirty grubbiness behind me.
Oh.
Now, running a business is tough, so will the Prime Minister join me in backing That's the Problem
Look
campaign
at
to put
Lee
VAT
Anderson looking
rates in
behind him.
hospitality?
Who the hell does this Ginga think she is?
Will he tell us
or is she a
today,
blonde? I
yes
can't
or
tell.
no?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very glad that we're cutting VAT over the summer with our summer savings programme that I hope she will support. I do note we haven't heard much from the Green Party leader after he admitted he hadn't paid his council tax. Perhaps he's traded his houseboat for a submarine.
Well, yeah, we need some.
Thank you,
right?
Mr. Speaker.
Considering 5
Mr.
of our
Speaker,
subs are in
ICBs
dock,
have a statutory obligation
needing repairs.
to fund all essential medicines and pharmacy provision for the delivery of specialist end-of-life and palliative care at our wonderful hospices, such as St Catherine's and Derrien House,
I agree with the
situated
hospices,
in our
actually. I
respective
shouldn't be
constituencies of
mocking
South
him.
Ribble and Chorley. However, this is not happening, as ICBs are claiming the costs are covered by the hospice's core grant. Would the Prime Minister support my private member's bill, St Catherine's Law, that seeks to place an explicit obligation on every ICB to fund all essential medicines and pharmacy provision for all our hospices separately from any core grant they receive from the NHS.
Can I thank him for raising this? And as he knows, integrated care boards are responsible for commissioning palliative care and end-of-life services, including hospices, to meet the needs of their area. And that includes decisions on how services are funded, including medicines and pharmacy provisions. I'm happy to talk to him further about it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Every time there is heavy rain, Judy Washington's driveway and garden is flooded with raw sewage. The same happens to her neighbour, and it happened
does she live
last
next
week
door to
again.
Parliament?
Thames Water have told my office they won't even look at the situation until the end of winter 2027. It is unacceptable that a lady in her retirement is shovelling sewage from her drive and waiting for human waste to decompose in her garden. Will the Prime Minister write to Thames Water on Judy and her neighbours' behalf to compel them to sort this out?
Well, can I thank him for raising this case? And it's obviously awful. If he will share further details of it with my office, I'll make sure the Water Minister picks it up and acts as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the Prime Minister warned that NATO needs to be ready for an attack by 2030 from Russia. Indeed, we have an increasingly belligerent, expansionist, imperialist Russian leadership.
I wonder if he's allowed to carry a knife in
US
Parliament.
leadership to our west.
That'd be a question to
Ukraine
ask, wouldn't it?
And European security is not a priority. So we need to meet the moment. To his credit, since taking power, the Prime Minister has increased defence spending, but the House of Commons Defence Committee is adamant that we need to reach 3% GDP spend on defence. So when the Prime Minister is signing off on decisions within the Defence Investment Plan, which I hope will be, touch wood, imminently published, will he agree to that 3% GDP spend on defence?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he's right to raise the concerns that we have. We've increased defence spending, and the Defence Investment Plan is going to be set out very soon and before the NATO summit, which, as he knows, in just a few weeks' time.
Final question, Lister Katz.
Mr. Speaker, Lindsay Foreman has not eaten in 32 days, and her husband Craig in 23. They are being held hostage by the terrorist government of Iran, but this government's weak words have abandoned them. So will the Prime Minister stop raising their case and start fighting for them? And he can do that by declaring today in this House that they are arbitrarily detained, something he has refused to do, and refer their case to the International Court of Justice so we get them home.
Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for raising this important case and give her the assurance and the House the assurance that this is raised regularly with us. The Foreign Secretary has raised it very recently. We raise it every time we can. We do everything we can in relation to this case. And we are doing everything that we can, as she would expect, as the party opposite would have done in office. And she's right to raise the case.
Let the front benches change over that complete
She's shaking her
questions.
head. Okay, well, that's it. You know, I don't know what to say. I seriously don't know what to say, because when you're looking at this, none of the questions are being asked. And I have to say, you know, Elaine, I agree with you. I didn't want to put your comment up, okay? Because to hear such a lovely lady saying those words, yes, we all agree with you, so just letting you know. Anyway, okay, there it was. That's Prime Minister's questions. And again, another pantomime. No answers. No answers whatsoever. Right, we're going to be seeing you later on. We're going to be coming on a bit later than usual, okay, for our live with Statsman. So bye for now.